Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome to Keepin with Nick. Thanks for watching. Also, I'd like to mention that make sure to follow us at the Disability Channel. Please subscribe and make sure to join our Flip Give as well. There's a lot of partners, Tim Hortons, Loblaws. Make sure to keep up with us. And here we have Helen and Michael from Arche, Canada. And we're about to start the interview. So, Michael, what is your success story with L'arche? How long have you been doing it, and how did that become about?
Wow, my success story with L'arche. That's a nice, it implies a compliment. So thanks, man. Yeah, I joined, well, I first heard about L'arche, I think when I was, pretty young. My dad told me about it. I came from a small town called South Bend, Indiana, in the United States. And they had wanted to create a L'arche community there. And they didn't manage to. But I joined L'Arche after I finished university, so 2009, and I joined L'Arche in a community in France, and I just had a ball, had a great time, met a lot of good people, a lot of creative people, and wanted to just, yeah, keep meeting really, really cool creative people. So then I moved to L'Arche in Kenya and lived there for a number of years. And after that, I began to make films for L'Arche International, where I got to travel to a different community almost every month around the world, um, which was just, one of the great gifts that I've been given in my life. I got to go to most every continent and meet people with L'Arche and make films. And now I'm here in Canada and still doing creative stuff with L'Arche.
Yeah.
Have the pleasure of working with you and with Ellen. And yeah, it's been a good journey. So it's been 11, what is it now?
And you also done a video called As I Am. Do you mind talking about that?
For sure. Yeah. So one of the things that we see a lot in the media is, stories about disability, but people with disabilities aren't actually telling their own stories. Uh, there are people who don't have disabilities who are talking about disabilities. And, in L'Arche, our belief is that you're the expert of your own experience. So with As I Am, what we sought to do was to um, kind of create a cinematic experience where my partner and I would get dropped off in a L'Arche community, and we'd have 1 month to get to know people. And we would just listen to stories, and we'd be eating dinner together, and we'd be sweeping floors together and washing dishes together and listening. And then a story would emerge, and we would just say, okay, this is a story we want to tell. It was different every time. In Northern Ireland, it was about a man with autism who wanted to find if there was a baby photo of himself that existed anywhere in the world, because he's never seen a baby photo of himself. In Kenya, the story was about a guy who went to France for the first time and his experience in Paris, his critiques of Paris. So it was just in Australia, it was about a woman who lost her mother and learning to live on her own. Yeah, just all sorts of different things. And so we made 12. It was a series of 12 short films, and each episode was in a different country. And I had a ball doing it, and we got a lot of great feedback, lots of viewers. Yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
Oh, good. And Helen, what is your success story in L'Arche? How long have you been doing it, and how did that become about for you?
Yeah, well, my success story with L'Arche is much shorter than Michael's. But I think I actually was introduced to L'Arche mostly through Michael. And it was in knowing him and his partner, who we all went to college with, that I learned about all the communities and attended some events here in Washington, D.C., where I live, with the local, with our L'Arche community who's here. And, you know, in my day job, I'm a video producer for a news organization. And so, you know, I make videos a lot, but of a different kind. But I've always really admired the work that Michael did on As I Am. You know, good story. I really do believe that good stories happen to those who tell them, and giving people who traditionally have not had that opportunity or have had those stories told for them by others is something I really believe in. So I've been a big fan of the kinds of stories that Michael has been helping to give light to in L'Arche, and sort of facilitating that. And so working with L'Arche Canada has been something that I came on really to help with making Battle of the Fans. And that's how I met you, and met so many other people who are working in L'Arche Canada. And it's been great. You know, it's been great, like three months, and hopefully there'll be more. But mostly I'm a friend of L'Arche, first and foremost.
And Helen, did you have to take any kind of education courses, like having a disability training course, education study background? And did you learn about disabilities in school, college, or university?
No. I mean, I have learned about the rules that we have here in the U.S. To help protect people with disabilities, but I don't necessarily think that we do a good job of talking about it in beyond protecting people in a legal sense. You know, I've known people who've had disabilities, whether they were physical or intellectual, in my life, and they're friends of mine. They're people, they're humans, but we don't necessarily, I think, in the US do a lot in terms of having deeper discussions about that in terms of ethics or I guess empathy, and building community, which is what L'Arche is all about. But outside of the people that I've met through L'Arche, that hasn't been something that I've felt like I've had lots of opportunities. So I think that the positive side of that is that I've gotten to learn a lot about that through L'Arche, which is such a great example.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing, Helen. And Michael, same question. Do you have to take any kind of education courses, like having a disability training course, education study background? And did you learn about disabilities in school, college, or university?
Yeah. Well, I guess, you know, I started volunteering for Special Olympics when I was kind of younger, like when I was in grade school. So I guess I had a lot of friends from when I was younger who had disabilities. And then in college, I had a course that was amazing, and it was called Literature of Disability. And we went into like disability studies and theory, but half the course we read literature which was written by able-bodied people from the perspective of someone with disability. And the other half of the course we read literature which was written from the perspective of someone with a disability, and it was about a person with a disability. And we kind of compared the two, and we learned a lot about feminism and queer theory, and you know, all these really, to me, new ideas, disability theory, the social model, and it was quite exciting. So in a way, if it weren't for that course, I probably wouldn't have joined L'Arche. But I think it was that teacher teaching that course, and reading all that great literature and those great memoirs, that kind of gave me that extra push to join L'Arche. So ever since then, I've been a total junkie when it comes to disability literature and disability studies. And yeah, I had the chance to meet one of my heroes in the disability studies world, Rosemary Garland Thompson. And I can just tell you, like, I was so nervous, like probably the way people would feel when they meet like a famous like basketball player or hockey player or something. I was like shaking because I was like, I can't believe I'm meeting this disability scholar. Kind of nerdy, but that's me.
And and just so you guys know that there's a website out there now called Distory, www.distory.com. If you want to find more information, check out the website.
I like that sort of play on
Yes,
words.
and I'm part of the working members with with Distory. It's a research project called Then and Now Research Project with institutionalized survivors. So make sure you check out the website. And for all the viewers too, check out the website. And Michael, since COVID hit, how did you cope with it since it started? And how did that made an impact on your life?
Well, I feel like I need probably in like 5 years from now, I'll look back and I'll have a better perspective. I still feel like I'm in it, so it's hard to analyze. Really interested, like to hear what you'd say, Nick, and you, Ellen. I think it's been hard. It's been tough. Like I was talking to a friend the other night, and she loves this. What was it called? Like, forget, but it's a type of pastry, and she was so sad because the cafe that makes this pastry closed down. And so she was like, I didn't know what to do. So I decided that I would learn how to make this pastry, even though it takes forever to make. And she's like, I know it shouldn't be a big deal, but it's just been like the one consistent thing throughout COVID. And when I was listening to her, I was like, yes, because the truth is, like, throughout this whole time, it's like I've just gotten crumbs of life, like crumbs of the world that used to be. Like I just get a few now that we're in COVID. So when you take one away from me, I'm like, ah. But I feel like that, like in a way, I haven't enjoyed not being able to go around to be with people. Um, I haven't enjoyed the restrictions. But the great thing about being an artist is that usually limitations are opportunities for invention and for stretching the limits. And so I've tried to expand my interior world to the extent of the exterior world, but I'm not quite able to do that, and I miss people a lot. And I've had a lot of meetings in the bathtub because I live in a one-room apartment with my partner. So yeah.
And Helen, same question for you too. Since COVID hit, how did you cope with it since it started? And how did that make an impact on your life?
Yeah, I'm probably going to say something really similar to Michael because I think that, like, you start off by sort of thinking to yourself, okay, I've got my health. Like everybody I know, no one that I know has died from COVID. So I do, and I still have a job. I know a lot of people as a result of this have lost their jobs, whether temporarily or in total. So, I have a place to live. I have all of the things that technically I need to survive, but that doesn't mean I'll thrive. And, I think for the first 6 months, I was really trying to sort of dismiss my feelings of being upset, because what do I have to be upset about? I have all the things I need technically to be okay. And then I was like, I think like it's gotten a little bit easier just being like, hey, like this time is not normal, so it's okay that you don't feel normal, and it's okay not to be okay. And like, I guess I'm just coping for me is sort of trying to do nothing, which is sort of very hard for someone who, like Michael, like I like doing things and being out in the world. And I normally, I'm happiest when I've got a lot of different things juggling. And now being stuck at home is a new way to help me grow patience. though it's a lesson I don't enjoy learning. It's sort of like if you only wanted to eat sugar and someone was like, okay, and now you will only get carrots, which I like carrots, but yeah. So what, yeah, I guess like for me, that's sort of where I'm at. I mean, I do think that like working on like writing more just for, not for my job, like just for me has been like very like helpful. And, you know, we'll see what happens. I think that it's true. Like, I don't necessarily, like what Michael said, like, I don't necessarily know how it's changed me or made an impact on my life until like either A, this becomes the new normal, or B, we have just a little bit more perspective. But I'm looking forward. I mean, I'm just waiting for a vaccine. Like, I'm looking forward to like, I don't know, getting to do even small things that remind me of it. And I was like thinking about that yesterday when I was watching sort of like how some of the people at the White House were interacting, like the staff with some of the journalists, and they were just like chatting. I was like, wow, people are just so normal when they've got the vaccine. Like they seem so relaxed. Like, dang, I can't wait until that happens. Yeah.
Now, on the positive things, can you tell me and our viewers at the Disability Channel a bit about the Battle of the Fans?
I love it. Well, I feel like you're the one, Nick, that should be talking about it because you were the co-host of this event. But yeah, the idea was we wanted to celebrate disability pride. We wanted to call out people's creativity around the world. We wanted to have a good time. We wanted to raise money for things we care about. And so we came up with an international lip sync competition idea. Didn't know if it was going to work. Didn't know if we could pull it off. Didn't know if we'd have any hosts. But we got lucky and we got the best host in the world. The best two hosts in the world.
Yeah.
Got a great crew together. Like, to have Ellen on board was just amazing. I called her for recommendations because I didn't think I could ask for her to take it on. And she was like, hey, I'm down for that. And yeah, and we had communities make these amazing, amazing films from all around the world. And they had 2 days to turn around to lip sync. And they did it like with pizzazz and creativity. And I was blown away week after week after week.
Yeah.
Nick was coming up with the most amazing intros. Lucy was coming up with the most amazing intros. She was the other co-host for those who didn't get to see it. And we had an awesome time. I mean, and the UK created their own league. A lot of people didn't know that. The UK created their own league and they had an awesome time. And yesterday I talked to members in France, L'Arche members, and they want to create a league next year. So
that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's hot off the press. So
yeah.
I think we might have a growing competition.
And I mean, just to give the people at the Disability Channel a little bit of context, it was sort of like the way that the competition got conceived of was like if you took like March Madness, which, okay, I hope people in Canada know what that is. But March Madness is like a competition where two teams face off and then there can only be one winner. So we started with, was it 24 or 28 teams?
We started with, in the end, 28, but there were 32 slots. And then.
So we had 28 teams that started, and every round, only one of those teams could advance. So little by little, the number of teams competing got smaller and smaller until we got to this final championship, which was so amazing. It was such a nice thing to have that final championship be like in the days right before Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
US versus Canada.
Yeah.
And Kenya, third place.
And what is the most rewarding part of Battle of the Fans for both of you?
I mean, there's the friendship side of it, Nick. Like, I feel like I had always really respected your work and, you know, wanted to work with you, but I feel like we're friends now. I think that's a big reward. Ellen, you know, we are friends, but we haven't been able to work on something much. And so I feel like there was a lot of great things from that regard, from a selfish perspective. That was really rewarding. I mean, I was laughing so hard every week when we were working together. We had so much fun. And so that was a big one. But also, like, the other thing is I'd say is, you know, that we heard the sweetest things from people. Um, you know, Nick, I'm sure you got a lot of DMs that were really awesome. But
Yeah.
also, like Larsh, we heard from somebody who never heard of Larsh from Long Island, and they said, "I've been watching this show every week. It's the best part of my year." And you know, that just knowing that is so rewarding. It feels so good to know that we came up with this crazy idea, didn't know if it would work, and then like a few weeks later, somebody goes online, gets a suggested video on the corner of their YouTube, clicks on it, and all of a sudden finds the highlight of their year right in front of them. You know, Nick in a headband.
Yeah. I remember that.
The costumes were one of the highlights, definitely.
Never underestimate Nick's closet.
Oh God, no. What is your rewarding part, Helen?
Well, for me, I mean, I don't know. This year has been defined by a lot of like negative, right? Like what we don't have, but this was so positive. It was like, I think sometimes it's hard to create something without like some kind of motivation, and a competition is a really great motivator. And so for me, I think that that's like, I mean, and then on top of it, I think that like, you know, when Michael and I were talking about it, like it was all of the creativeness, you know, from like Michael and I being like, ooh, what songs are we going to pick? And then editing down like the shorter versions for everybody was super fun. And then, but really it was like putting something into a black box. You know, we picked the songs and put them into the box, and then everybody, all of the communities took them, and there's absolutely like the kinds of things that people put into their videos was something that we could never, like, there was just so much creativity. We could have never imagined what was going to come out of it. And I mean, and I think that, you know, Michael and I talked a lot about this. Like, it didn't matter whether a community had really a lot of production skills. Some of the most creative videos were ones that were low production, like filmed on cell phones and not too like intensive in terms of the styling or anything like that, but they still had like a point of view and a storyline, and they were, it was really cool to see that that happen. And then, I mean, for me, I think that that's the biggest reaction. And what Michael said, it like having an audience that found this to be something that was positive in their lives. I think it sort of just helps to be an antidote for everything that is the pandemic and other stuff that has gone not necessarily that great this year. Yeah.
Nick, what was your answer to that before you ask us another question? What was the most rewarding thing for you?
Actually, the most rewarding part for me, it was actually for me, it was a lot of fun doing it. And what you guys were saying with the costumes. My rewarding part was the popcorn.
Yes, we learned in the context of this entire competition that Nick loves popcorn. Loves.
Oh yeah, I love popcorn.
Loves.
Yes.
For breakfast.
So, anyways,
popcorn and a latte. Okay.
How did you guys get the celebrities to talk about this positive impact message? Is there a person with disabilities who has had a positive impact on your life? Can you guys tell us how that became about?
Yeah, that's definitely a question for Michael.
we you know, the question of how did you get them to do it? You can never get anybody to do anything, really. You know, like everybody has their own willpower. But what we did is we reached out to some of the, we looked at the top songs, top 500 songs of all time on Rolling Stones. We looked at them, and those artists that would be known in the world charts, and we reached out to them with that question that you had: who's a person with disability that's had a positive impact on your life, or who's made a big contribution um, to your life? And we expected maybe 10% would respond, and actually, like around, I think it was like 93% of a response rate. So it just blew us away. So I feel like the question of like, how did you get people to? Well, we reached out to people, but the amazing thing was that people wanted to tell those stories. Lance Bass wanted to tell the story about his cousin. Um, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister wanted to tell the story of his nephews. It was amazing. Maya sent me a text and she was like, "Well, I don't actually um, know what my answer would be to that question because I don't know too many people with disabilities, but could I just send a message anyway?" Which was so sweet and humble in a way, to say like, well, I still want to participate in this. I still want to celebrate disability, even if I don't have a friend or family member with disability. It was amazing. So I was just blown away by the depth of people who we often see as celebrities, pop figures. They'll show up in tabloids. They'll show up, on the radio singing about this or that. To really take the time. I mean, Meatloaf sent us a video of 28 minutes. We asked for like 1 minute messages, but to take the time and celebrate the people in their lives who have made positive impacts on them, it was amazing. So there's just something powerful and amazing there that wasn't our doing. We extended the invitation, and I'm so blown away that people actually took it.
Yes, and that was really, it was very positive from each celebrity. Very positive, and I really loved that. That was my most rewarding part of it.
To see all of those celebrities talk about disability.
It was really nice and positive about it.
Hmm.
Helen, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I wasn't involved in that as much. But, I think that what Michael was saying is pretty much exactly what I would say, in the sense that, like, I don't, sort of what I was saying earlier, like, people often sometimes don't have that opportunity to talk about it, but it impacts a lot more people. And it's like just giving people space to have a conversation about it when it isn't something that they're normally asked about is, I think, the reason why so many people responded.
That's a great point. And, there's stats that say that disability is like the largest minority. People with disabilities, like it's about 1/5, 1 out of every 5 people. But we don't necessarily think of people with disabilities as a minority group. Like we don't think that a child with Down syndrome and a grandparent who, lost the ability to walk are necessarily in the same category. But the truth is, it is a very powerful minority group. And I think, like you're saying, Ellen, a lot of celebrities just don't get the invitation to talk about it. And it was just so cool to see that when you do say, hey, do you know someone with disability? And Shaggy's like, yeah, my best friend just lost his leg. And, Shaggy.
Yeah. And anyways, I heard that we're starting another project, an animation project that's coming up at Large Canada. Would you mind explaining that to us here at the Disability Channel?
Ellen hasn't heard about this yet. So we have an audience too in front of us. Well, I'm very excited to say there's an incredible up-and-coming musician in Canada. His name is Jordan Hart. He is amazing. I mean, his lyrics are incredible. His voice is otherworldly, and his instrumentation and everything is really also, it's atmospheric, it's emotional. You can really feel it. And so anyway, he wrote a song which I probably can't tell even the title of, but it's going to be like the main EP for his new album. And he asked us to make the music video. So I wrote a script to the song, and because of COVID, we can't shoot it as a live action, unfortunately. So we're going to do it as an animation. And the cool thing is that it's a coming of age story of a boy with Down syndrome, and it follows him throughout his whole life in the period of 4 minutes. And Nick is the assistant director.
Director of this project.
Yes. Which might be, I don't know, Nick, but it might be the first time that someone with Down syndrome is an assistant director on a commercial music video, like a mainstream music video. You might be breaking the glass ceiling. I don't know.
I'd be happy to do that.
It's super great to work with you, and I'm really glad that you agreed to be on my team.
And I'm looking forward to it too. And on that note, can you guys tell me and our viewers at the Disability Channel, is there a person with disabilities who has had a positive impact on your life?
Nice. Do you want me to go first, Ellen?
You can go first, Michael, if you want.
Okay. All right. There's so many. It's kind of hard to decide who am I going to talk about. Honestly, because I've been so positively impacted. I can't separate my life from disability, or from people who we label as having disabilities. I guess if I were to pick, might be my friend Musa. So Musa is a friend of mine with cerebral palsy, and he lives in Kenya, and he's a remarkable fellow. If you don't know his name, type into Google, "I am Musa," and a video will pop up. That's a video I made with him. It's the first video I made with like a camera, like a legit camera, in 2014. It went viral, and I think not only like did, in a way, he launched my career because he asked me to make this video, and I made it about him, and then it went viral, and then I became a filmmaker. So I was like, okay, I owe him my artistic trajectory in a way. But you know, I lived in the same compound with him for 3 years, and learned so much from him. He's just a great human being. He taught me a lot. We had so much fun. He loves to like work out, and so I got better at sit-ups when I was hanging out with him, because I never do sit-ups, but I would when he was around. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much. I'm sorry, it's not really a good answer, like, because he's such a pivotal person for me. I've learned so much. I would need to like really sit down and, you know, write a laundry list. But he is one of the most, you know, impactful friends that I have, and he'll be standing with me at my wedding, because we're gonna have it in Kenya so that he can. Yeah.
And that's good. I'm really happy for you, Michael. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And Helen, what about you?
You are going to get embarrassed, but one way that I'm going to limit this question is just to think about the last year. And like, if I think about someone who has a disability who's made the biggest impact on me this year, it's definitely you, Nick. It's been so great, like hanging out with you and getting to know you every week and just texting about crazy ideas for like costumes and but I mean, like, yeah, we spent a couple weeks even before the competition started hanging out, and I really enjoy that time. I also really enjoy like how, just hearing your perspective on a lot of things about disability and the way that you approach it, and just both with humor, but also with a real authenticity, and getting to learn about your life has been really great this year. So, because it's just, as Michael says, like, I mean, if 1 in 5 people in the is part of the community of people with disabilities, it's like there's a lot. I could name a bunch of other people that I've known who've had some kind of physical or intellectual or mental health disability that that I'm really close to, but I'm just going to limit it to this year, and you're definitely that person.
Well, thank you, Helen, and thank you for sharing that. I'm not telling you the truth. I'm not embarrassed. So I'm very glad that you said that. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, really.
Yes, and thank you. Thank you to Michael and Helen for joining us today. And thank you, you guys. Thank you for all of you for watching the Keeping It Real with Nick. Hope you guys had a good time watching, and also stay tuned. There's more to come. And just to let you know, I'm also going to be in a rhubarb festival with the LGBTQ community. Please look out for that. So check that out. Check it out on the website. So it's called Rhubarb Festival. So check that out. So, and I am going to be part of that festival. And I've started my own Arche fashion. It's on Facebook. It's on my Facebook. It's a Facebook page. So please check that out. I'll be posting stuff on there. So I've taken my paintings onto print and onto clothing. So that is the next step I'm going to be doing for the next few years. So I've started my own brand, and we're going to see where we go from there. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.